Hello everyone, my name is Karis from Crochet and welcome back to my channel. Today I figured we would kind of welcome in the new year, welcome in 2025 by talking about our maker goals for 2025. So today I'm going to be sharing with you my goals for 2025. I have 3 categories of goals here. We have my realistic goals. These are projects that are already on the hooks or needles. These are projects that are going to get done because they're already there. Then we have my slightly delusional, like just a little bit delusional, like these may not happen, but we're really hoping. Oh, I said something wrong about the realistic category. There is one that is not on the hooks yet, but I'm so excited about it. It's probably gonna get done, I hope. Then we have my slightly delusional category, and these are things that I've been telling myself I'm gonna do for years and still have not done it. So I really don't know why I think 2025 is gonna be the year that I do it, especially with 2025 being the last half of my junior year and the first half of my senior year. I really don't know why I think these are gonna get done, but they might happen. So it's always good to have the goals listed so that I can go off and check them. If they get done, then I can say, I did it. And if they don't, it's like, okay, put it in the pile with the other ones. And then we have my major delusional goals. These are the ones that are like, lock her up, put her in a mental hospital. These are not happening because they're just not. And if they do, one of the other projects had to die. They might happen aside from that. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, okay? I've got a couple road trips coming up. I've got a lot of driving that I do where I get to pull passenger princess. You never know what'll happen. And then I have my YouTube goals. So let's just get straight into it. Okay, so I figured we would start with my realistic category. Specifically, the portion of the realistic categories that are the realistic category that is already on the hooks or needles, because I taught myself how to knit. So this is so realistic, it's probably going to get done in the next couple of weeks. I start back my literature class, and because I am church schooled, so we get to do most of my schooling at home. I do split off and go to some classes like with people who are accredited and I can take credits from them, but I go back to my literature class this Tuesday, and there's a large part of me that really wants to have this sweater done and like waltz into class and be like, yeah, let's talk about Frankenstein. As I wear my gorgeous little crochet sweater. So I purchased this yarn when I thought Joann was closing. There was so much talk about Joann closing last year. So I purchased this yarn in a massive haul that I got. I think it was $40 that I paid. I got so much yarn. You got an absurd amount of yarn. The swimsuit cover that I was making earlier on in the year, or last year, that was part of this haul. And I purchased 3 of the big idea, massive, not big idea, like they're really big rolls of the big twist yarn. There was way too much. I think I have not even dipped into the second one yet. I might have dipped into the second one because this is a really dense stitch, but I did not need that much yarn, you guys. I always overestimate how much yarn I need, how big I need to make my projects, and it's an issue. Well, we have this gorgeous little sweater. It has that mountain design on the front and then nothing on the back. It's very simple, just 2 panels in front, split off for the sleeves. That's all it is, and then I'm gonna add some ribbing around. It's very, very pretty. I just split for the sleeves last night. I was going to do panel sleeves, but then I was like, you know what? I don't hate myself, so I'm gonna split and I'm gonna do sleeves off of the, I've dropped my yarn, sleeves off of the project and the holes that I'm leaving for the arms. So that's the first realistic goal. Next up on my realistic goals list is something you could probably guess if you have been around me personally very much, and something you could probably guess if you have really watched the channel. This is my 2022 temperature blanket. I do have an excuse. I started this project after I had had a break from crocheting for about 1.5 years. I did not used to have a yarn stash. I bought yarn for the project that I was crocheting. I didn't used to have a yarn stash. This is partially because I was a child. This is partially because we were broke as joke. And this is partially because I was a child and could not take care of large amounts of yarn. So I did not have a yarn stash to fall back on when I took about 1.5 years break from crocheting. And I came back to it and bought the cheapest possible yarn. This is the $2.99 roll of Mainstays acrylic yarn. This is what I used for this whole blanket. I used 3 colors: the blue, the pink, and the yellow. The blue and the yellow are my favorite. They have given me absolutely no issues. They are my absolute dear children. I love them. They never get grounded. They never have to go in timeout corner. They are perfect and they know it. The pink, however, which represents my hottest color for my temperature blanket, I believe it is the average of 70 and above range, which where I live in the southeastern United States, we get a lot of. Midway through 2023, I want to say, I could not find another roll of pink yarn anywhere. I had completely run out. This was before I knew to buy enough of a certain yarn to make your project, like to stay within dye lots. I have been crocheting for a decade. I have only picked up large projects in the last 5 years. I say in the last 5 years. Really been in the last 3 or 4 that I have picked up my crochet game. From hats and toy sweaters and whatever, to like a consistent hobby that I really enjoy and kind of like a method to get me through some of the harder times in my life, and that I have picked up bigger projects. And it is only within the last 2 years that I have dabbled in garments. And now this year, it is the only thing I want to make. I'm all for wearables this year. This is the original shade of pink, okay? When I found the yarn again in middle of spring 2024, this was the shade they had switched to. Yes. It doesn't show up on camera very much, but if you hold the two together, one of them is hot pink, one of them is bubblegum pink. I just had to be okay with it. It was the closest match I found. I couldn't find like a red heart color that suited it, a Hobby Lobby color that suited it. I think the closest I have seen to that color is T.O. Yarn Crafts collab with Hobie, and I was not about to purchase that yarn for this blanket. I don't even think it's 100% acrylic. I'm like 90% sure it's not 100% acrylic, but the color looks very similar, and I can't have 2 different types of yarn. I don't know if it's the same yarn weight. I can't. So that will get finished. It got put off. It got in timeout for a very long time. Picked it up literally the Christmas Eve. I picked it up Christmas Eve after I had wrapped all my Christmas presents that I had crocheted. And I picked it up, and now I enjoy her very much. And we're having fun, and I think I am somewhere in October. So we'll get done with that. That's on the realistic goals. Step on the realistic goals list. We're kind of going in order of like realisticness right now, because that sweater I'm so excited about. I put my temperature down to finish the sweater because I'm so excited about it. I'm very excited. This next one is not on the hooks yet, which should tell you how mildly unrealistic the next realistic goal is. This one is not on the hooks yet. A few months back, at my local bargain hunt, which is a lovely store if you've ever gone, I found yarn. Premier Eversoft, and boy, is it soft. Now this is telling me that it is a 4-way worsted. This is not a 4-way worsted. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. This is mislabeled. This is misjudged. I don't know who said it was, but it's not. Okay? It's just not. But it's very lovely, and I think it'll make a very lovely spring top. So, I want to follow the Pelpham halter top tutorial by TCC DIY. With this yarn as the base, I got enough of this to make a shirt quantity. And then, this is my big idea. I'm so excited for this. This is what I'm putting on the hooks next. I'm extremely excited about this. We're going to make vines and flowers. We're gonna put it on a skirt, and I'm gonna have myself a springy Pelpham top with vines and flowers. It's gonna be my dream. I'm so excited about this. And if this turns out not like what I want it, I might cry. I might cry. I'm so excited about this though. I really think I can do it. This might be like my most ambitious clothing project yet, but I think I can do it. I really do. So that is next up on the most realistic list. Next up on our most realistic goals list for 2025 is the scrap sweater that I am knitting. I say this is the least realistic because I have just taught myself how to knit. I've kind of gone through this phase where about every year or so, I pick up knitting. I make something tiny. Oh, I'll show you. Last year, I made a hat. This is the hat that I knit at the beginning of 2024. I don't know if it'll go on over my... No, it's not gonna go on over my ponytail. We're good. This is kind of like a skull cap. So this is the hat that I knit. This is just garter stitching. And I was using these plastic Dollar Tree needles to knit that. So when I realized, wow, that wasn't that terrible, I actually kind of enjoyed that. I purchased needles that look like this. I'm not going to hand you the whole jar because there's so many. Needles that look like this off of Temu. They're not the greatest. They don't have incredibly sharp points, and I realized I prefer a sharper pointed needle. I don't know if that's like an actual preference. I just like it better because I feel like I have more control over the yarn that way. And the stitch stoppers on the end have a tendency to pop off, but I've just hot glued them all back on because they go back on. So I think they're intended to be removable. I'm gonna give Temu the benefit of the doubt and say that they are. But I put it down then again for about another year. And then like 3 days ago, I cast on a sweater, and I got really into knitting like 3 days ago. I was gonna knit a scarf, and then I realized I don't wear scarves. I hate scarves. So I just kept it as like a little square practice panel of the stockinette stitch. Because I finally taught myself the stockinette stitch, and let me tell you, purling is the bane of my existence. I hate it so much. I hate it so much, but I finally found a way to do it because I was holding my tension with my thumb. I hated it. Found out how to do it continental, or another method of continental. Because I am a continental knitter, not an English knitter. I can't do English style. Tried to teach my little sister to knit. Pretty sure she's an English style knitter, and I don't know how to teach that. I'm not good enough yet to teach. I was just teaching her the garter stitch because it's what I've known how to do for a very long time. I feel confident enough to teach somebody the garter stitch because it's just a knit stitch over and over and over again. I feel confident enough to teach her that, and she learned that pretty well, except for that she is an English knitter and I don't know what to do. So if anybody has any helpful tips, helpful resources, helpful videos, that would be lovely. That would be amazing. I like stitching with my little sister, and she wanted to learn how to knit. I offered to teach her how to crochet. She wanted to learn how to knit. So I was like, I'll do my best. I have. So this is, if I can show you, the scrap sweater that I have cast on. It's incredibly squished. It is hopefully wide enough. I did do a gauge swatch and everything. I am holding my yarn double for its red, orange, and yellows. So this is a very deep crimson yarn. So it's red, oranges, and yellows that I'm using. This is the body panel. I even pulled it off the needles, like put it on skewers and pulled it off to make sure it was wide enough, because I keep tripping myself out because it's so squished up, and I'm like, there's no way that's wide enough. Then I took it off and I was like, I'm like pretty sure that's wide enough. What am I on about? And then I put it back on the needles and I was like, no, it's way too small. It's fine. We're fine. This is fine. I think this is fine. So this is the least realistic, but I still think it's rather realistic to get it done. I'm quite enjoying it, and even though it is the same stitch, since it has 2 colors going at any given moment, I have a lot of color intrigue, and I love to play with some color. So that's kind of what this is. I'm just practicing my knitting skills, playing with some color, and it might turn into a sweater. Moving on to my less realistic goals. Slightly delusional, not entirely delusional, just slightly delusional. So, my first up on this list is I want to follow a knitted sweater pattern. I don't care if it's flat. I don't care if it's in the round. I don't care if it's top-down raglan. I don't care. I just want to learn how to follow a knitting pattern. You know, even if it looks very basic, even if it's the most simple thing, I want to learn how to follow that pattern. Because I am just winging a sweater over there. But I do know sweater construction, so I'm making like a panel sweater. We're fine. I've done that before. We're good. But that's one thing on my list. My next is I have never done a top-down raglan crochet sweater, like a pattern that I followed. I don't know that I've ever followed a crochet sweater pattern. I have not, so we're gonna do that. That's fun. So that's one of my goals. And then finally, on my slightly delusional but still very doable, is to design a top or a sweater. I say design because all of these sweaters that I've kind of winged before and the tops that I've kind of mashed like 4 different patterns together to make one, those haven't really had like a design going into them. Like I haven't sat down, I haven't sketched it, I haven't thought it up in my mind. And that is what I want to do. I don't want to release a pattern. I don't want to release a tutorial video. I don't want to have to do 47 samples and get 48 pattern testers or whatever. I might, if people really, really enjoy it, if it blows up, maybe. But I want to design a top or a sweater for myself. And I have a ton of ideas. I had this on my goal list last year. All these things have actually been on my goal list. But this one was the one I was kind of disappointed that I didn't get around to in 2024. I think I psyched myself out a little bit because I had a little bit of a pattern following failure. And I was like, there's no way I can design a pattern. But everybody fails. Everybody makes mistakes. And I don't want to let myself get psyched out again this year and not kind of go after this goal that I've had for a really long time. So that is on my slightly delusional, may not happen, might happen, we don't really know, goal list. And moving on to my least realistic. These are lock her up, put her in a mental hospital. These are major delusions. The first 2 of these are actually ideas for that last goal, design a top or sweater. These are ideas that I have for that, but they might be a little difficult to accomplish, and one of them probably will not happen. So that's why they're both on here, is because whichever of these does happen, like if they happen, the other one won't happen. So I have this idea for like a drape top, and I'm not going to show you the design sketches because they're awful. But basically, the general idea is that I want it to be so big that it kind of falls and creates these massive ruffles, and I want it to be a tank. So I'm thinking lightweight yarn, big massive granny squares, like big granny squares. So one this big, like the size of an Afghan pretty much. Like huge shirt, and then it just like drapes and falls. We'll see if that happens. I don't know. That's probably the more realistic of the 2, because my second one is I want to create like a bell sleeve, like a puff bell sleeve top out of lace work. And I hate lace work. Like I've done a little bit and I just don't like it, but I want to carry some lace work designs into a worsted weight yarn. One of my other ideas that is major delusion, but I would follow a pattern for this one, is a crochet Christmas sweater. It's not gonna happen, but I have thought about it for a long time, and like I would love to make it eventually. The last one up in this category of like major delusions lock her up is a crochet colorwork sweater. I mean, you have, like with nice wool, I want to purchase a sweater quantity of good wool. Like I want to go to a local yarn shop. I want to purchase a sweater quantity of good wool, and I want to do some crochet color work to look similar to like all those like incredibly gorgeous knit color works that you see. I want to crochet a color work like that. I want to crochet it because I'm nowhere near that in my knitting, like nowhere near it. So that's on the major delusions list. And last up on my goal list is actually about you guys. So I've tried to kickstart a business before with my handmade goods. The only issue is that sites such as Etsy, Facebook Marketplace, other websites that I'm blanking on right now that allow you to sell your items require a certain age. And I'm not yet of that certain age, and I would have to do it through one of my parents. I will be very soon. Like I'm graduating next year. I'm graduating next year, so I will be incredibly soon. However, I would like to grow this platform some and devote my time to this before I devote my time to that, so that I have people who know how long it takes to create the items that I'm creating and who appreciate the effort and the love that goes into each pattern. Those are the only patterns I've actually made for myself, are like created on my own, are the patterns that go with the items. Now, not all of the patterns have I created, but most of the items that I would be selling, I have crafted the pattern or heavily modified it. So I want a community of people that actually appreciates that, because it's really hard to find that. And I do still get small orders from friends and family and custom makes from like around the church. I could, if I pleased, do craft sales and stuff like that. I just haven't taken that time out of my incredibly busy schedule to do that. I want to grow this channel. So that involves some realistic goals, I think. I'm not going to set lofty goals because I'll just disappoint myself. 3 shorts a week. Maybe. Most of my shorts that have blown up have been just me crocheting with music behind it. So I guess I'm just a very satisfying crocheter. Give the algorithm what it wants, I suppose. And 1 long form every 2 weeks. That gives me plenty of time to record and edit. It gives me time to get out simpler videos like this where I can record it all in one day and then probably edit it Monday and put it out Monday. It gives me that freedom to then also work on other videos. And I think that's something that I really want to do this year, is grow my platform and grow with you guys. And we'll see where we go. So thank you for joining me on this incredibly ambitious list of goals that I have. I would love to hear some of your goals. Put them down in the comments. I would love to hear what you might like to see me make or create in this upcoming year. I would love to hear anything you guys have to say about what you made for Christmas, or your goals, or what you'd like to see me make, what kind of content you like to consume. I just want to hear from you guys. So leave them in the comments. Thank you for joining me. Have the happiest, safest new year. I love you all very much, and I will see you soon.